I'm Mira Rubin here with you on Enlightened World Network. And today's topic is choose peace. One of the greatest powers we have is to manage our experience of life. And in the aftermath of the election, many of us are feeling triumphant and many of us are feeling not. And along with that could be coming all kinds of despair and upset. And it's important for us to navigate this terrain, whatever it is in life, when we face disappointments, when we face upsets. What we get to do is choose how we're going to interact with our experience. And so today we're talking about choosing peace. And it should be an interesting conversation. So before we get started, let's take a minute or two to get present. Let's take a deep breath in through your nose and hold it. And imagine clean, crisp oxygen flooding your lungs, flowing into your bloodstream, nourishing all your cells, all your organs, bringing vital life energy to your body and being. And as you exhale any tension, stress, negativity, fatigue. And now let's take another deep breath in through your nose and hold it. This time, imagine brilliant, bright light lighting us up from the inside out, illuminating, electrifying, and energizing all your cells, all your molecules, your electrons, creating a brilliant beam of light and energy from your heart out into the world. And as you exhale any remaining tension, stress, negativity, fatigue. And now let's press our palms together. Vigorously rub your hands together to feel the friction, the temperature, the pressure, the motion, the tickling and tingling when you stop. And allow all those sensations to bring you present, right here, right now, into this remarkable physical form that enables us to experience life. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Good morning. Good morning, Rosalind. So good to have you joining us this morning, and welcome to everyone else who's with us. In the aftermath of the election, there are lots of intense emotions for lots of people. And I think that there are a number of us that, good morning, Sally, welcome. So good to have you joining us. Welcome back. We're talking about the aftermath of the emotion of the election. And I think that there are a number of us who are experiencing I think we're all probably experiencing intense emotions, and some of us are experiencing fear and upset and shock and all kinds of other feelings. And it's at these times when any of us perceive a threat or experience upset and fear that we most need to redouble and refocus our intentions and our clarity and our energy to finding a place of peace and balance. And this is when the pedal meets the metal, so to speak, with those of us who are on a path of awakening and personal growth and development, is managing ourselves in the face of circumstance. particularly when we have very robust stories about the nature of that circumstance and the ramifications of it. And so this is one of the reasons that I talk a lot about how important it is for us to curate our stories, because we create our experience of reality as a result of those stories. And so the question is, how do we find that place of peace? And I choose to operate from the lens of life is happening for me and through me rather than to me. And it's times like these where that lens gets tested, right? Or our commitment to that lens, to being present to what's so, without all kinds of embellishing stories, and to be aware of the meaning that we're making about things, and to recommit ourselves to a place of presence. And it's very challenging in the face of circumstances that are profoundly emotional, because of the stories that we have. Sally says, yes, when we first heard the news, it was very intense. But once I reminded myself that that I saw this outcome almost a year ago, it calmed me somewhat. This needed to be the outcome for complete healing of our universe. I'm going within and know that this just had to be for clarity. I'm finding peace within. And Sally, good for you. I think that that's what we're called to do, is to find a place of connection and wholeness and balance within ourselves, and to bring that to the world. And really, for me, the deep, deep reminder is life is happening for me and through me rather than to me. And so we think we know, right? We think we know how things should be. And we can get very attached to those ideas. And oftentimes things get worse before they get better. It just happens that way. For structures to crumble, sometimes we have to go left to go right, or right to go left, or whatever you want to call it. Maybe those aren't the best words given the political environment, but and we get to make our choices accordingly. So Sally says, yes, I've been reminding myself of that lately, that that change breeds chaos. Change breeds chaos, disruption, and that chaos and disruption can be really difficult and painful and uncomfortable. And again, we, as people who are seeking awakening, as people who are seeking evolution of consciousness and being, have an even greater commitment to hold that place of connection and balance and peace within ourselves. And it doesn't mean passivity. It just means a space of connection, wholeness, alignment, peacefulness. It's more important now than ever, because spiraling into fear and anxiety feeds the chaos in a way, in a negative way, rather than allowing for clarity, focused action, focused response ability, the ability to be responsive rather than reactive. So we may be called upon to be even more engaged, even more active. We may be called to have our voices heard even more clearly. And if that's the case, let that come from a place of wholeness, connection, clarity, alignment, coherence, rather than fear, anxiety. Okay. So there's a level of self mastery or self awareness, I think, that is called for in these times of change. And being even more present, even more committed to maintaining that place of balance and inner clarity. So we talk a lot about how important it is to curate our stories. It's now even more important, because if we allow ourselves to get swept up into an atmosphere of fear, we become disabled. We become ineffectual, and we feed the chaos rather than feeding the peace or the balance or the clarity. You know, when we're in chaos, we lose clarity. And so for those of us who see this outcome as less than desirable, we can use this opportunity to even more deeply invest ourselves in finding that place of center, and to be moving from that place of center, and to be driven by a connection to values, to find greater and greater congruence within ourselves, to be able to navigate a world that looks like it is increasingly chaotic. So be alert to the stories you tell yourself. Be alert to the ways that you might be whipping yourselves into a lather of fear or hopelessness or despair or any of these emotions that so many people are feeling, or shock even. And let's allow ourselves to recognize that we don't know what is going to unfold. We may have all kinds of ideas about it. We may have a lot of expectation, negative or otherwise, and we get to manage our own beingness in the face of those fears. Because it's a choice. It's a choice to indulge the terrors or to be present and aware and responsive to the call of the moment, which may be calling us to action in a variety of ways. And it's important that if we're called to action, if it's inspired action, that we move into that action from a place of clarity, connection, congruence, alignment. Okay, not out of reactive terror, for example. You know, it's like the panic of running around and needing to do something is not the place to be taking action from. The place to be taking action from is a place of presence, to be being called into appropriate action. And this takes discipline. It takes will to refocus ourselves on our values, on our personal commitments, on our intentions, even though it may be difficult. This is not a time to be resigned. This is a time to be awake, present, alert, to find a place of calmness, not a hypervigilance that brings us into anxiety and fear, but to bring ourselves into that place of center and clarity and listen for opportunities to make a difference. Listen for goodness. Listen for possibility. And for me, anyway, I am ever more diligently living into the belief that I'm holding, or the framework that I'm holding, that life is happening for me and through me, and that we're part of whatever is unfolding. We each have a role to play in the unfolding of whatever is emerging, whatever that looks like. And it may not look the way we want it to. It may not look the way we envision it. And we get to know or cultivate a knowing. If you know, it's a discipline, it's a practice to be cultivating the notion that life is happening for us and through us rather than to us, that we're not victims, that we're engaged in this ongoing expression of life, expressing itself, and that we play a critical role in that, that each of us has a unique role in the midst of all of it. And the greater peace that we are able to hold within ourselves, the more impact we'll have on the field. Our panic, our upset feeds those energies, feeds the chaos. And so maybe we get to take back our balance, our peacefulness, our presence, and our ability to be responsive rather than reactive. Because when we're in fear, when we're in panic, what happens is we react. And when there's reactivity, it feeds further chaos. So we get to deepen our practice of presence and act from that place of presence, wholeness, alignment, clarity, coherence. So it might mean taking more time for ourselves to just breathe, to quiet the noise, of our own stories and our own fears, to deepen into presence and a practice that supports that. It's probably more important now than ever that we cultivate that practice for ourselves, whatever that looks like. If it looks like meditating, or it looks like walking in nature, or it looks like spending time presencing yourself to your breath, or it looks like finding positive news, which can take an effort sometimes, or uplifting stories. We have the choice of focus. We have the choice of where to put our attention. And this choice has never been more important than it is in the face of circumstances that may engender fear for so many of us. So whether it's politics or environment or who knows what else, in the face of fear, this is what's most important, is to choose presence, because it is in that presence that our power resides. And if we allow ourselves to be swept away by fear, what we're doing is we're allowing ourselves to be disempowered. We're absolving ourselves of that power. We're sacrificing our power and our capability by allowing ourselves to get swept up in fear. And that's the last thing that we need in moments when we're called to be present and engaged and aware. So self-care is ever more important right now, I would say, for those of us who might be experiencing intense reactions to the outcome of the election, is move into, choose in a very deliberate way to find a position of peacefulness, to find that place within that is untouched and untouchable by external circumstances. It's critically important in this moment for us to find that place of clarity, coherence, connection, etc. And we can do that. And from that will arise appropriate action rather than reaction. So good morning, Robin. Welcome. So good to have you here with us this morning, and just in time to complete this morning's conversation with the determination and choice to find that place of inner alignment, peace, and connection, and to know that whatever it takes to do that, it's probably one of the most important things that we can do for ourselves and for the world in this moment. So that's it for today. I'm Mira Rubin. This is the Core Connection, and I go live here each weekday morning at 9 a.m. Eastern on the Enlightened World Network Facebook page and YouTube channel. And I invite you to please like, follow, and share Enlightened World Network and me. The links are in the description. And as always, it is such a pleasure and privilege to have the opportunity to share these morning musings together. So with that, wishing you so much peace and love. Until next time.